June the 6th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Meteorologist Matthew East here along with you. A whole lot to talk about here, including a tropical storm, a nice reprieve from heat and humidity, and a really hot setup coming up toward the end of the next 7 days. I'll get into all that as the latest edition of the video rolls along. There's a look at highs yesterday. 92 in Columbia and Fayetteville, 91 the high in Greenville. It was 80s for a lot of the Charlotte and Triad viewing areas. Very steamy conditions and some big thunderstorms, which I'll show you in just a second. Temperatures during the 5 o'clock hour this morning, 60s and 70s. It is still a very, very humid morning underway. Now, this was the radar as we went through yesterday and into yesterday evening, and pretty healthy coverage of those scattered thunderstorms, some of which were quite intense, especially up near the Virginia border region as we went through the 4, 5, 6 o'clock time period yesterday. Also some pockets of pretty intense thunderstorms further to the south that moved through portions of South Carolina, glancing through eastern parts of the Charlotte viewing area and over into points east from there. A couple of wind damage reports to share with you near the Virginia border. That is a 53-mile-per-hour wind gust near Danbury that caused some typical type of minor wind damage. Also around Reedsville, you had some tree type of damage just before 6 o'clock yesterday evening, and you can see the other scattered wind reports further to the east from there, and then some sporadic reports down to the eastern South Carolina and North Carolina as well. All right, over the past couple of hours, things are relatively quiet, but look at the moisture really gathering down here closer to the Gulf of Mexico. That is all associated with Tropical Storm Colin. So let's get into your tropical update. This is not an organized-looking tropical storm. In fact, the latest reconnaissance flights this morning have found multiple low-level centers for this tropical storm. So it is certainly rather ill-defined. But there are some areas of very intense convection associated with Colin, and that's going to mean some fairly gusty winds and some pockets of heavy rain along Colin's path over the next 24 hours. Now, here's the latest advisory on Colin, the 5 a.m. advisory. The winds listed at 50 miles per hour. Now, this is not, I don't think, your typical tropical storm sustained wind scenario. It looks to me like that's probably more winds associated with those big thunderstorms that are pulsing up in intensity, mainly east of the center. Moving north-northeast at 14. That will bring Colin to the Big Bend region of Florida this evening, and then near or off the Carolina coast tonight into tomorrow morning, and then out to sea from there. So what does that mean for our weather? Now let's take a look at the surface map here, and really a lot for our area up here in North Carolina is going to depend on how much interaction you see with Colin and this decaying frontal boundary as well as the incoming front further to the northwest. I think today scattered showers and storms, especially south and east of Interstate 85. And then tonight, depending on how that system interacts with the frontal boundary, that's where you could see that shield of rain get drawn northward. Now, here's the high-resolution modeling. And again, as you get into the afternoon, this ends at 5:30, so you can't see the overnight activity yet. But I think, again, along Interstate 85 and points south and east from there could see a pretty decent coverage of scattered showers and storms as we get into this afternoon and into the evening. And then we'll see how the shield of rain with Colin reacts as we get into tonight. Again, Futurecast wants to bring that up through, again, areas at least up to I-85 or so tonight. And we'll just kind of see how that pans out. The GFS computer model showing you rain totals in eastern parts of North Carolina in the 1 to 2 inch plus range. The RPM modeling, Futurecast, is being very aggressive in eastern North Carolina with some 3, 4, 5, even 6 inch rain totals over that way. And again, it just kind of depends on how the rain shield with Colin behaves tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, this system will quickly head out to sea tomorrow. Cold front zips in. It'll be a dry day tomorrow across most of North Carolina and lowering levels of humidity. Still quite warm tomorrow, but watch our dew point temperatures. Very muggy late today, but those dew points dropping into the 50s and maybe even 40s at times as we get into the midweek period. That'll be a big-time break from the humidity ahead. Wednesday looks fantastic. Sunshine, highs only in the low to mid-80s, and low levels of humidity. Really good stuff. There's that trough in the eastern part of the country midweek. Enjoy that. We get under the influence of a ridge by late in the week and the weekend. That's really going to crank our temperatures. So, a lot to talk about. Let me show you the higher detailed modeling here. This is the 500 millibar chart off the European today. There's Colin in the Gulf. Notice that trough buckling in. during the midweek period. There's what it looks like on the height field, that trough in the eastern United States. But look at this. There's a big ridge developing late this week. All right, Canadian model. There's Colin. It's one of the more north and west solutions, and it is further north and west enough to spread some of the rain in tonight with the northwestern flank of Colin. And then there goes the system heading out very quickly thereafter. Here's the GFS representation. Now this is this afternoon, scattered thunderstorm activity. There's Colin in the Gulf. This evening, again, you see some interaction with the front and the approaching Colin, and that's enough to bring some rain to parts of the Carolinas tonight. Center of Colin on the GFS off the South Carolina coast around daybreak tomorrow, and then the system races north and east from there. There it is by tomorrow evening. Let's talk about what happens, though. These are the dew point temperatures by tomorrow evening, really dropping as that drier air begins to take hold around the region. Wednesday looks fantastic. Again, dew point temperatures dropping. And then this is a look at lows on Thursday morning, well down into the 50s across the region. Should be a kind of a refreshing feel to the air on Thursday morning. Now there's Thursday afternoon, and then there's Friday, still probably dry, but temperatures really building. This is Saturday's highs on the GFS model. And then this is Sunday's high temperatures, the raw numbers off the GFS. And again, I haven't gone quite that high, but I do think mid-90s, maybe upper 90s, a possibility. The European model, look at this. These are highs off the European model for Sunday. Obviously, that's very, very hot, and I have not gone quite that hot in the forecast, but Sunday does look like a hot day across the region. And the GFS keeps it pretty hot around here on Monday before temperatures then back down a bit. So interesting stuff there with the heat building late in the forecast cycle. All right, that is it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Everybody have a wonderful day, and God bless.